Hello travelers, Boardman21 here, and today's build is an updated version of the Sparkinator. In 8.2, mana regeneration got a slight buff, and we can now get more mana per second. What this will allow us to do with this build is to spam Static Orb more often, which means more Lightning Novas, and we got rid of the Spark Charges since they don't get the same buff from the bug in Lightning Blast, with the Spark Charge effect being global. This build will still do really good damage, and the lightning damage is easily comparable to Lightning Nova at its min-max. This build requires no uniques, no exalted items, and you're really tanky. You're going to be doing a lot of damage. It does, however, use some hybrid idols that can be hard to find, will take time to find, but all they do is increase your damage. The build works just fine without them. The main components of this build will just be casting Static Orb in front of you or in the direction of the mobs. It will double cast for 2 orbs that will hit for really good damage. They explode, and then they have Lightning Novas that do a huge AoE. These will stun lock enemies so you don't have to worry about them attacking you, and it will kill them really quick. This is a great single target and AoE destroyer of mobs. So let's go ahead and get into the interactions, the skills, and just how it all works. For skills, I'm running Teleport, Lightning Blast, Static, Flame Ward, and Static Orb. Now, you can change these skills up. You don't have to run Static or Lightning Blast, but in this build I wanted to change it up a little bit from the last time while keeping it Lightning themed, so we threw in Static, and Lightning Blast is spec'd differently than it was last time. No more Spark Charge effect, but we will be using Lightning Blast automatically procced from Static. For Teleport, we have this set up with 5 points in Resonant Plasma and 5 points in Crystalline Passage. This will give you your 25% of elemental resistances, as well as 250 flat armor and 250 flat stun avoidance, which will really help you not get stunned, a little bit more protection, and then cap out your elemental resistances. You keep this buff for 4 seconds, but with 3 points in time dilation, we increase that from 4 to just over 6 seconds. So as long as you teleport once every 6 seconds, your cooldown's only 3.3, so it should be easy enough. It's going to allow you to keep those buffs 100% of the time. We then have 1 point in Unexpected Copy and 1 point in Decoy Position. This is going to make a mirror image, which is basically a decoy, but it doesn't have the greatest taunt effect, but every now and then they do save your life. We'll be making one from where we teleport from and where we teleport to. And then we have 5 points in Elemental Affinity, which increases our elemental damage by 50% for 4 seconds after we teleport, and this is going to increase our lightning damage since that falls under the elemental tag. For Lightning Blast, we have this set up so that it will chain to the same enemy, do really good damage, and it's auto gonna proc from Static when we have enough charges. We don't manually cast it. So we've got 3 points in Storm Razor for more base critical strike chance and damage, 2 points so it can proc Lightning Aegis for us. Those points are in Lightning Attunement, 2 points in Chain Lightning for more maximum chains so that it can chain more times, and then 1 point in Convergence so it's chaining to the same enemy over and over again. With 4 points in Arcing Power, it can chain up to 4 more times depending on how many times that you've casted it before that in the last 4 seconds. 2 points in Crackling Speed increases the cast speed. We're not manually casting it, so we're not too worried about that, but this does unlock Shatter Shock, which gives you up to 120% more damage against a chilled and a shocked enemy. And the final 3 points in Volatile Lightning so that there is shock chance with every hit you do with a Lightning Blast. For Static, we have this set up for maximum charges and so that it will proc Lightning Blast for us. We'll also gain them faster when we get hit and when we move. We got 4 points in Overcharge so we can have an extra 100 charges for 200 maximum. 4 points in High Voltage increases the charge rate while you're moving. 5 points in Reverberation means that you'll gain 5 charges every time that you get hit. 1 point in Overload makes it to where you'll zap nearby enemies whenever you are above 80 charges, but it does expend 10 of your charges. 5 points in Diode improves Zap's base critical strike chance, as well as makes it cost less charges, so this reduces it down to only a 5 cost and increases it with 5 more base crit chance. And then 1 point in Unlimited Power makes it to where it now procs Lightning Blast instead of Zap, but this also makes it consume Lightning Blast's mana cost, which isn't a big deal. It's not too expensive, and it won't be proccing all that much. Then we have Flame Ward, which is set up for all defensive purposes. We got 4 points in Star Wars Defense, 5 points in Barrier, 1 point in Prismatic Buffer, 2 points in Shrewd Shielding, and 5 points in Mental Aegis. So when it's active, you'll probably lose some mana because most of the damage you take, or 75% of it, will be absorbed into your mana instead of your health at a 5-to-1 ratio. And then 3 points in Dilation to increase the duration to maximum, as well as give it some mana efficiency. And then for Static Orb, we have this set up to proc Lightning Aegis, Explosions, Lightning Novas, extra projectiles, and of course lots of explosion damage. We've got 1 point in Lightning Aegis, so there's a 20% chance every time you cast it that you'll keep Lightning Aegis for 8 seconds. You'll almost have 100% uptime as long as you're casting Lightning Aegis, several times. 2 points in Shocking Orb gives the projectile shock chance on hit. 2 points in Spark Charges means there's a 50% chance to put a spark charge on the enemy for every hit that you do. You don't have to put these points in here, you can spend them elsewhere. Then we've got 3 points in Static Bolts for more projectile damage, 1 point in Relinquish for 100% more projectile damage, but the Static Orb will no longer pull enemies. 5 points in Twin Orbs, so the double cast chance is at 70%. You can remove these 2 points in the Spark Charge, put them in here, and you'll get up to your 100% chance to double cast, so you'll always be double casting. 1 point in Controlled Explosion means that Static Orb will now explode where you point your mouse. 1 point in Charged Ground. The explosion will leave charged ground, which is Spark Novas or Lightning Novas everywhere, all over the ground, doing lots and lots of hits. This increases the mana cost massively, but with 4 points in Mana Ground, we bring it back down by 140 cents, with the final cost being 25 mana. We're also going to have 25 mana regen per second, so that means you can cast this skill 1 time per second and be at full mana the entire time, which means that you can basically spam it. It also comes with a ridiculous amount of damage that it does. For passives, I've got 26 points in the Mage base class with 8 points in Scholar, 8 points in Arcanist, and 10 points in Knowledge of Destruction. We got nothing in the Spellblade and 87 points in the Sorcerer, our mastered class, with 8 points in Calculated Destruction, 8 points in Brainstorm, 8 points in Mana Shell, 10 points in Wisdom, 8 points in Chronomancer, 5 points in Rift Bolt, 8 points in Crackling Precision, 5 points in Arcane Obliteration, 2 points in Distant Spark, 6 points in Elemental Ascendance, 5 points in Spell Slinger, 5 points in Arcane Current, 5 points in Archmage, and 4 points in Recollection. For items and idols, so I'm just going to hover over all of the items really quick. There's no uniques, there's really nothing fancy about this. There are some rare affixes, but not super rare, but none of these are that high. We have some tier 5s here and there, but nothing that powerful. Once the build planner is updated, I really hope to be able to do that soon and give you guys these build planners, but that's all of the items. Basically, you're going for HP, your endurance, your resistances, that type of thing, and then adding in just cast speed and lightning damage so you can cast the orbs really quick. You also want as much mana regen as possible, so we have that on the rings, the belt, the relic, and the amulets. Not all tier 5s, some of them are tier 5s, but I think we have a few of them. I take that back, they are all tier 5s, even the belt. Yeah, we got tier 5s, but they're not all max rules. But you can change that to where you have an exalted one drop. We had quite a few exalted ones, but I didn't want to put those in this build. We're going to leave them where they're at on the other characters. But even with that, even if you don't have those, you'll just won't be able to cast or spam it as much. But once you build into the mana regen or even get an exalted mana regen, it really picks up pace with how much you can spam those. For the idols, you can wear 4 2x2s and 4 1x1s. The 1x1s we just use for necrotic resistance, and for the 2x2s, you're wanting the ones where you get increased lightning damage when you have Lightning Aegis, because we can have 100% uptime of that. And then of course the increased lightning damage, which is doubled if you have over 300 max mana, so we're also aiming for that 300 mana barrier to achieve, and you can get a lot of extra lightning damage. These can roll up to 200%. I take it back, they nerfed it a little bit. You can get 95% lightning damage and 48% of the lightning damage doubled, so you can get a total of 189% total damage, or 191, whatever that ends up being. That's a lot of lightning damage. You can get almost 200% lightning damage with the best rolled ones with 4 of them. That is a lot of lightning damage. Obviously, the higher those roll, the more damage you're going to do with the build. For the character sheet, as you can see, we're only capped in necrotic. However, when we teleport, you can see we are capped in fire. Our lightning cold is caught up. We do want a little bit more physical. Don't worry about poison too much. It's a little worrisome now with the poison spires, because they can do a lot of poison damage to you, but that's about the only thing that will. And then of course we need to get more void. Our gear again isn't min-maxed, but it's good enough to do empowered content and to excel through the echoes and do the bosses quite well. We got about 16% armor, no dodge, and then for damage you can see we got about 500% lightning damage. This will go up when you have lightning aegis by quite a bit, and we have almost 300% critical strike multiplier. And then for how to play the build and the skill rotation, I like to put Flame Ward on autocast, and that's it. That's all you're going to do. You can run Arcane Ascendance on the toolbar since you don't have to put Lightning Blast on the toolbar. When you activate it, you'll get some extra damage, some extra cast speed. However, it will expend your mana since you didn't use the skill tree. And then all you do is you just spam your static orbs at the enemies, and as you can see here where it goes, you get all those spark novas, or lightning novas if you want to call them, and they do absolutely great damage and just full screen AoE. And I can sit here and spam them pretty hard. We will eventually run out of mana, but you can tell our mana regen is quite quick and we'll pick it up. It makes it really nice to where you don't have to run focus or mana strike, as long as you don't spam it or only cast it 1 time per second, or if you have exalted mana regen on your items, you're easily going to be able to just spam it. But if you have it set up like we do, you can cast it a couple of times, take a little break, cast it again, and your mana is going to stay up there at the full range. Alright, that's going to be it for this build guide. I'm going to go ahead and leave you guys with some gameplay, and as always, stay safe, travelers.